Leader Associates Impact is a talking series with leaders who have plans. And this afternoon, we are very fortunate to discuss with Mr. Francois, Vice President, Middle East and Africa of EDF. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, let's start with our first question today. So can you tell us about your background and how you involved in the utilities sector?
Okay, my background, I'm an electrical engineer, so there's nothing exceptional. I've been working in infrastructure, in water, and of course in power generation, so utilities in general, with French, Spanish companies. And then 6 years ago, I joined EDF Renewables, and actually this is something that I've been trying to monitor for quite some time. If you remember, even 10 years ago, we do talk about renewables, but mostly in conferences. And the big thing, the great change in renewable projects and renewable energy in the Middle East region is still quite recent, 5 years, 6 years max, where we can see the first large project coming up.
Yes, and as the Vice President for Middle East and Africa, what's your main responsibilities? What might be your priorities at this moment?
Sure. Well, I'm responsible for the whole business, from development, means business development, as well as when we want a project, then we have to develop. Engineering, design, we have to invest also. So this is the financing part of our job. And then to build, we contract to EPC contractor to build for 2-3 years. And then we operate for long term, 25, 30 years. And where our income is from the kilowatt hour that our plant will be producing. So I'm in charge of all this with teams, of course, here outside in the hub office, as well as in Paris at our headquarters. Of course, it's my responsibilities, but of course there are teams, there are very responsible people, very engaged people who are carrying out all these works, daily works, to make sure that what we are committed to our shareholder in terms of investment and return, in terms of project completion. When we build, we need to build with quality, with safety, and as well as per the schedule. And then we operate, and that's the critical part, is to meet what we have planned in terms of availability of the plant, as well as the production, because this is where our income is. Every kilowatt hour that we cannot produce is a loss of revenue. Beside all this, of course, I'm talking about business, but beside all this being renewables, I feel very much lucky to be actively part of what EDF purpose is actually to build our future energy carbon-free, and this is my proudness of my job and of everyday, day-to-day job.
Yes. EDF is a long-standing leader in terms of clean energy development. But with regards to green hydrogen, what's EDF's current outlook on green hydrogen in the global energy transition, in the MENA region specifically, and also how do you position yourself in this space? Previously, early this afternoon, we also interviewed TAQA Arabia as well as Mazda. So for TAQA, they position themselves as taking the baby steps moving forward, whereas Mazda thinking they will always be the pioneer. So how does EDF position yourself?
Okay, thank you. The question is good that we know very well both TAQA and Mazda, who are our partners for other projects, and I'm not surprised to hear their view. Now, EDF Renewables, we are in, of course, renewable energies. Of course, when we talk hydrogen, we talk about green hydrogen. And the word green is quite important. It's the major part, by the way, of any green hydrogen project in terms of cost, in terms of time, because you don't have green hydrogen without starting from the basics of renewable, which is to find a land, to study this land in terms of resources, to work out all the permitting which are required to be able to lease this plant, this land, and to develop the renewables. Of course, I'm not talking about few hectares of land. We are talking about hundreds of square kilometers of land in order to be able to feed a large green hydrogen plant. I will come to the size issue. Now, then the greenfield, what we call the greenfield, is precisely what we are doing and is where our DNA is to start from scratch, study the country, know the people, know how the system work, how the authorities permitting work, and then to find and to build up the land, the project from scratch. Then you're right, we talk about hydrogen. Let me remind, okay, we know that we have no doubt that hydrogen is the future, is the required energy in the fight against climate change, in the energy transition that we need. No doubt about it. Then we have several types of hydrogen, several types of use. When you are in Europe, you can buy renewable energies from the grid, so you can develop your hydrogen plant, a small size, in order to meet just your need. This is what I call the local use of hydrogen, which are developing throughout the world, in Europe, in US, in all major Western and developed countries. Then you have countries where renewables is not possible in the sense that large volume cannot be produced because of land issue mainly. And that's the case for Europe as well as for Asia, Japan and Korea. And this is where this region of Middle East, North Africa has a role to play. As you can see around here, we have available land, accessible, although there's permitting of things to be done. You have natural resources. Mother Nature has been very, very generous to the region. You have wind, you have solar, and then that's why this region can develop and build large green hydrogen production facilities for export to Europe and to Asia, Japan, Korea. And this is why we believe, and this is what my job, my development job is, really to have our teams in all the countries where we are present, to find the land, large area, and to be able to build up these projects. I'm talking about Morocco, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Jordan. So these are our plan. This is very ambitious. We are talking about multi-billion dollars projects. Of course, we will have partners, of course. But this is what we start to do, and this is what, and I said we will always start renewable, and this is our job. So that's where our teams are now developing. Yes, we are very ambitious because the need, and it's I'm sure that you know about it, the need is huge. And if you don't start, it's not a question of being late or not. It's a question to start. And this is what we're doing. We need to start our heavy works, heavy lifting works, which is what we are doing. And I'm sure that this project somehow will come, even if we are very ambitious. Even half of them come, then I would be more than happy.
Perfect. Certainly the region has huge potential for producing green hydrogen, but there's still a gap between from the pilot to scale. So as a extensive experienced developer in the region, what do you see is the largest, or say the biggest challenge nowadays, and how are you going to address it?
Thank you for raising the question. You're right. The sort of challenges and technical challenge we know. I think that one of the most, and this is a particular issue here, is that the green hydrogen, the need of green hydrogen, by 2030 and by 2050 will be so huge that actually there's no competition among the developers. There's no competition among countries. We all need to do our part of the job in order to meet the demand. So, yes, now the question is time. Actually, I keep repeating the same. In all the countries here, we have land, we have natural resources, we have engineers, we have technologies, we have everything. But the only thing that we do not have is time. That means that we need to accelerate. And this is what I keep trying to explain to all authorities mainly, is yes, we have all these. We need authorities, local agencies, governments to give us access, to give us land, to give us authorization, permitting to develop these projects, to build it, and to meet these they have all of them have expectations, to have reasonable expectation, so that these projects, not only ours but any of our competitors or colleagues are doing, need to be robust enough in order to be financeable, viable, and therefore we can have from a paper project to a genuine plant to develop it. So this is what we need to do. Of course, I keep traveling around the region, talking to governments and local authorities in order to explain that all this, I can see it's moving. Mm-hmm. But as I said, unfortunately, we have no time, so I need to push.
Yeah. Within EDF, any upcoming projects, any upcoming initiatives that you are mostly excited about?
Well, there are two countries where we are a bit more in advances, which are in Egypt and in Morocco, where we have an agreement with the Ministry of Energy, with all the agencies to develop the projects. So this is the first step. Now we start putting teams in order to measure, to put the mass, to measure the wind, because we need some time, all the data in order to secure, to make our our project robust, and then we will talk. We are now teaming up with the off-takers, people who will buy this hydrogen for long term. Of course, we talk to lenders. All these pieces of work are being now put. Hopefully, by next year, we will have what we call the final decision, investment decision to be taken, and therefore, hopefully, the first green hydrogen will be produced before 2030 for sure. Now, whether it's a question of 2027, 28, that is the target. But again, same issue is the time.
Yes, glad to hear you talking about FID, the final investment decision. During the pre-day workshop, we also learned some statistics. Currently, across the globe, we may have 93 green hydrogen projects, but only 14 of them have reached the FID. So there is a huge gap between.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that all of these 14 FID will come to financial close, and that's the big challenge. And yeah. I can tell you, as I said, there's no competition among the projects. So every project which achieve FID and hopefully soon succeed to achieve financial close is a success to all of us.
Yes.
Because every time it means that problems have been solved, hurdles have been removed by government agencies, by landowners, by all this, and every time it's a way for all of us to move forward. Yeah.
Yes, collaborations, partnerships, they are the first steps need to be addressed.
Yeah.
And next, I think it would be the inspiration. So one last question to wrap up today's interview. It's about giving your advice to the future generations, because everything we do nowadays is for our future kids, future young generations. So do you have any advice for young professionals who are just getting started into the renewable energy business or green hydrogen business?
Sure. Well, thanks. Let me put it with great humility. I think energy transition, fight against climate change is, of course, I can see with my children, everybody start realizing how important it is. But it's quite a complex issue. I would invite all our young generation to spend time to learn about it. You can get, I'm sure that there are plenty of things on the internet. I don't say necessarily to go to university for this, but learn about it. It's important that we understand, each of us understand what it means. The technology also is important. We can learn, we are all, whatever your age, learn about it. And then that means that once you learn about it, when you know how important it is and the impact, then I'm sure that we will all in our daily life take the right action to do it, and hopefully for some of us in our professional career to work on this. Renewable, of course, is one thing, but it's not a renewable. You have plenty of things to do around renewable or for energy transition. It's not only the only business. I'm sure that the technology definitely is, although I'm engineer, so that's why I talk as an engineer, but yes, learn about it, know what we are talking about. That's the most important, because then you can start really realizing and thinking about it. And then day-to-day, daily life action will take place.
Thank you so much, Mr. Francois. Thank you for the kind advice. And I really appreciate your taking the time joining our interview.
Thank you very much.